Hi everybody, welcome to math for this week. We are going to be measuring time this week. We've already worked on measuring with a ruler, with a yardstick, with a measuring tape. We talked about a scale. We used the balancing scale. We talked a little bit about capacity and how much of something can fit into something else. So now we are on to measuring time. You might think, well, how can you measure time? We can't see time. We can't use a ruler. We can't use a measuring cup. So how could we use, or what could we use to measure time? Well, there's lots of ways that we can refer to time. You might have heard mom or dad say, wait a second, just give me a minute. We're going to leave in about an hour. Just a couple more minutes. In a few days, you're going to go to your friend's house. Well, next year, we're going to take a vacation to the beach. Tomorrow is when the new Trolls movie comes out. You might say, well, when's dinner going to be ready? And they might tell you soon, or it's almost time. We said at school a lot when it was going to be time to clean up soon, we would say 5 more minutes. When you check out your library books at the library, they're usually due in 2 weeks. So all of these words relate to time. Okay, there's seconds, which are really quick. There are minutes, which are a little longer than seconds. Then there's hours. Then the hours turn into days. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. Okay, so it kind of all goes together. What do we use to tell time? What do we use to measure time? I have a timer, and it has 60 minutes on it, which is equal to 1 hour. Now within that hour, you can see there's a bunch of numbers, and it actually is counting by 5s. Each little space is 5. So let's say I'm making a cake, then it has to cook in the oven for 35 minutes. So instead of me sitting here and watching my clock until 35 minutes goes by, I can set my timer for 35 minutes. The timer will keep track of the minutes, and when it dings, then I know it's time to check the cake in the oven. And it goes by 5s, so I would think to myself 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So I would turn my timer, and Jackson is practicing his saxophone right now. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm going to hold this up. I'm not sure where the speaker is exactly. You should be able to hear it ticking. I'm going to turn it to the back. You can hear it more. I don't know. So each of those little ticks that you're hearing, hopefully, are seconds. Seconds go really quick. Okay? So as the seconds go by, then minutes will pass, and then it will slowly move back up to 0. And when it gets back up to 0, it dings, and then I know it's time to go see if my cake is done in the oven. Another timer is a sand timer. This one goes for 2 minutes. So that means if I turn it over, the amount of time it takes for all the sand to pass from up here to the bottom will be 2 minutes. Okay, so I have, for example, I give this to Jackson, and he is supposed to use it for when he brushes his teeth. So when he starts to brush, he's supposed to turn it over and then keep brushing his teeth the whole time that the sand is going down. And then when all the sand from the top is at the bottom, then he knows his 2 minutes is over and he can stop brushing his teeth. Now I know they make these for 1 minute and 5 minutes. I'm not sure what other time frames that these are made in. But these are good to use, and then it gives, you can kind of see how much time has gone past, how much more time you need to go. It's fun to use these because it's really hard to know, well, okay, she said I have 2 minutes to brush my teeth, but how long is really 2 minutes? Or Dad said it's 5 more minutes till we have to go get in the car. Well, how much is that really? How much time is that? So a timer is a good way to figure out how long that amount of time really is. Okay, I'm going to show you another thing that tells us about time, which is a watch. I'm sure many moms and dads and you might even have a watch. Now watches are all different. Some have lines on them instead of numbers. This one has a few numbers on it, but not all of the numbers on a regular clock face. And now our 2 minutes are done. So I'm going to put that down. So the hands move around the clock to tell us what time it is. Some watches have a third hand called the second hand. So each time, I don't know if you can see the second hand, it's over here. I don't have it turned on. See if it moves. It's hard to show you, I'm sorry. So each second that passes, ding, 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 the second hand moves. So after the second hand goes all the way around the clock, that means 1 minute has passed. That's why the minute hand slowly moves around the clock to give us our different times. And then the shorter hand on the clock is called the hour hand. That one moves really slow because that one only moves, it moves every 60 minutes because there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay, I'm going to put that down. I don't want to give you too much and be like, oh, what's she talking about? So here is another kind of clock. I have this in my room. This one has all of the numbers on it. Clocks start at 1 and they go around until they get to 12. 12 is always at the top. 6 is always at the bottom. Then 3 and 9 are always at the sides. Again, we have a long hour hand, a short minute hand, and then, oh, sorry, that's the second hand actually. The second hand, hour hand, and a minute hand. Which we're going to learn more about these hands in 2 more lessons. But the clocks, obviously the clocks tell us what time it is. So clocks, watches, and timers are pretty much the tools that we use to measure things. You could also say a calendar was a measuring tool for time because we look at the days and the months and the year, and those are all part of time also. Right, so why do we need to know what time it is? What does it matter if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Or what does it matter if it's 8 o'clock at night? Why do I need to know that? Well, these days that we're not in school, it's not quite as important to know the times because we're spending most of our days at home. But before all this happened, you had a time that you were supposed to be at school. At school, we had a time that we were supposed to have lunch, the same time every day. We had a time that we knew Pastor Sarah would come visit us. We had a time that we knew it was time for us to go to chapel. You had a time that you usually got picked up. Mommy and Daddy had a time that they had to be to work by and stay at work until it was another time. If you have a doctor's appointment, you have to know what time to be there. If you're going to the movie theater, you have to know what time your movie starts. I'm sure all of you have a bedtime, a time that you're supposed to go to bed and go to sleep. When you were playing sports, you might have had a time that you had soccer practice, or baseball season would be happening right now for my son. We would have times that we had to be at the field for his baseball game to start. So time is actually really important to our daily lives, and it's something that you're going to need to know how to measure and how to read as you grow up and you become more busy and have to pay attention to the time more without somebody telling you what time it is. So time is all around us. So 2 things that I would like you to do for your activities for our lesson today. One, simple, go around your house and look and see where you have clocks. Now, all of your clocks might not look like this with the numbers going around it. There's also another kind of a clock. Let's see if I have my watch. It's called a digital clock, and it just has numbers on it. Yeah, I have my watch like this. You see, it just has numbers. It doesn't have the hands. So you might have a clock in your house that looks like that, maybe on your microwave or your stove or your television. If anyone's riding in the car these days, your car has a clock that has numbers probably. So look around your house, see how many clocks you can find. See if you have any timers in your house. See if you have any sand timers in your house. So just go look around, count, just for fun to see how many clocks you have. And then your second activity, you're going to need Mom and Dad to help you with because they have to time you. So they're going to need a timer, or usually on everybody's cell phone they have a clock picture, and there's a stopwatch in there under the clock picture, so they could use that too. I want you to see how many times you can clap your hands in 1 second. Now remember, a second is very quick. So you might only get to clap your hands once or twice if you're pretty fast. The second thing I want you to do is to see how many times you can write your name in 1 minute. And then when you're finished, think about what it felt like to clap in 1 second and what it felt like to write your name in 1 minute. Which one seemed longer? Then I want you to see if you can do a puzzle in 30 minutes. You might get done in 5 minutes. So you could see how long it takes you to do a puzzle. Now, if you're trying to do a 100-piece puzzle, it might take you 30 minutes. It's just to give you an idea of how long that feels. And then I want you to write down or draw pictures of all the things you can do in 1 hour. So have Mom or Dad set their timer for 1 hour. You can go play, maybe you watch a TV show, maybe read, whatever you normally do in that hour. and see how many things you can do. And then go back and compare. Well, how long did that feel compared to the 30 minutes to do a puzzle? Or the 1 minute to write my name? Or the second to clap? Okay? It's just for you to figure out which seemed to go really quick, which seemed to take really long. So you can feel the different amounts of time. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much. This is a lot of a talking lesson today. So I'm going to let you go, and I will see you next time. Count your clocks and have fun. Bye.